What's going on? Mark Martinez here, Master Coach for Living.Fit, and I want to talk about three things. Three mistakes that trainees make that completely derail them, that completely diffuse the chances of them achieving the goals that they are most likely training for. And I know this because I have been that person. I have done those things, and I want to help you avoid the same mistakes that I made. So let's get to it. Mistake number one is doing too many things. Trying to do too many things, trying to get jacked, trying to get big, trying to get ripped. You have all these somewhat opposing goals, and we can't really put as much effort onto those things, so they just kind of keep diverting from each other. So you never really achieve the thing that you were trying to do. So my advice is to have a goal, have a main goal, and then you can have some ancillary goals as long as they're not contradictory. So if like your goal is to get super shredded, you can still have some strength goals so that way you don't lose strength in the process. If your goal is to get super big, you can still have some weight goals or some body fat goals so that you don't get super big in the process in the wrong way. So make sure that you have a focus, have at least a somewhat main focus, and then put all your effort, all your intention into achieving that. So mistake number two is boredom, and that's not really a mistake. The mistake here is that you don't have enough variety or progressions to infuse into your training. So you get kind of bored, you get stuck doing the same thing over and over and over. And if you're not trying to get better, if you're not trying to enhance your strength, your movement capabilities, then you're just gonna kind of be at a standstill. So I wanna make sure that you have enough variety, you have enough progressions, you have enough kind of new things to infuse into the training without taking away from the overall goals. So it's a very delicate balancing act where you want to have the basics, you want to focus on the basics, progressive overload, but then you need to incorporate some new stimulus so that way that you can feel those changes, see those changes, and enjoy the process. Mistake number three is changing your plans too often. So there's the first point where you don't know what you want to do, you're trying to do everything. There's the second point where you don't really have enough variety, but then there's the third part here where you might have too much variety, you might be too training AD where you just want to be everywhere, which again, I have done, and you never really do anything worthwhile because you're not focusing on building the strength, creating those adaptations of creating a stronger, more muscular physique. So if that is your goal, if your goal is just to move better, then we have to still create a plan that's going to allow you to challenge yourself there and work on the skill of better movement. So you definitely want to stick to something long enough to see results, but understand how to incorporate enough variety so that way you can continue to see results and not create repetitive use injuries or just get freaking bored, which I don't want you to do either. I want you to enjoy your training. There's a common misconception that you have to just kind of suck it up, buttercup, and that is to some extent true, but we should enjoy the process. Having things mapped out for months and months in your overall cycle, your macro cycle, is important because then at least you have a roadmap. You might decide to take some, side streets or take a couple exits and go experience something new somewhere else. But as long as you have the overall plan, you can get back on track so that way you can get to your destination that you're looking for. And what we've kind of laid out with Living Fit is this kind of create your own adventure. So that way you can follow a plan, you can get expert advice, you can have a roadmap that's going to allow you some leeway where you can kind of pick and choose which direction you want to go, but it's all laid out for you. So take, for example, on my programs, we have turbo fat loss, double gains, kettlebell origins, all these different amazing programs that have helped thousands of people all over the world. Let's say that your goal is to get better at moving kettlebells. I want to learn kettlebells better. Awesome. I have an entire plan mapped out for you where you start with Kettlebell Origins, right into Origins 2.0, right into Turbo Fat Loss because it's one of my favorite programs where it's just unilateral kettlebell work, fast paced, explosive, rotational fun, and it's going to help you with the skill of moving that kettlebell better. If your goal is to get jacked, you just want to get shredded, you want to get super, super lean, I've got those plans that are all designed to help you with that goal. So that way you can kind of pick and choose. You're not stuck on the same thing for 6 months on end, or you're not just doing the first 30 days and then you think that's it. You have literally the next 6 to 12 months all lined up for you, and you can tweak it as you go. So if you want to incorporate another piece of equipment, if you want to incorporate a different plan, if you want to incorporate parts of this plan, we have it all laid out. I've said that so many times, so I'll probably say it again, but And that's what this choose your own adventure, and that kind of came from those books. I don't know if you're a 90s kid, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, or even an 80s kid, they might have been before that, were those books where you would get to a certain end of a chapter and then it would tell you if you want to go through that door, go to chapter 7. If you decide to go through the chimney, go through chapter 4. And the different chapters that you go through end up in a different part of the book. And then sometimes you win, sometimes you end up sucked out into space. So I want to make sure that you don't get that. Well, that's why you're going to have expert advice from us where we'll be able to help you, guide you to make sure that you see exactly the results you're looking for. So regardless of what you choose, I want you to avoid those mistakes so that way you get the most from your training. Enjoy your training, enjoy this process, even if you're not exactly where you want to be, which none of us really are. We're always striving for something else, but as long as you can get the most from the training, enjoy the process. You're going to look better, you're going to move better, you're going to feel better, you're going to be the most athletic version of yourself.